The headlights cut through the downpour, illuminating a wall of ancient pines where Main Street should have been. Not a single street lamp, not one familiar rooftop. Just an impossible, primordial wilderness swallowing the town whole. The steering wheel grew slick under his palms as the car's engine sputtered and died, plunging him into a wet, suffocating quiet. Through the open window, the air carried the scent of ozone and damp earth, and beneath it, the faint, metallic tang of rust. His breath hitched when a low, guttural scratching began, not from the trees, but from beneath the passenger seat. The map in his glove box, the one he used just hours ago, now showed only blank parchment where his hometown had been marked. Something moved between the trees. Not an animal, but a shape that flowed like liquid shadow, leaving trails of frost on dripping leaves. And in that moment, he understood this wasn't a wrong turn. This forest had been waiting, and it remembered his address. Not a ghost town, just empty land, as if it had never existed at all. This isn't a story about a place that died. The air carried the faint, metallic scent of ozone where homes once stood. A stillness settled over the void, broken only by the distant whisper of something scratching at memory itself. This is the story of Mercy Falls, Minnesota, a town that didn't just vanish, it erased itself, and the only man who knows why is about to break 50 years of silence. His breath hitched as he approached the sealed town archives, the air thick with the scent of dust and decay. A primal dread took hold, sticky and cold, as he prepared to speak the unspeakable. The summer of Shio, 71 unfolded in warm, grainy, Super 8 perfection. Days were spent at the old chrome and vinyl diner, the air thick with the smell of frying burgers and cherry cola. It was a pocket of time preserved in amber, a picture of innocent Americana. But every paradise has its serpents, and in this one, the shadows were just beginning to stretch. Mercy Falls was postcard-perfect, population 347. It was the kind of place where history teacher John Miller knew everyone by name. He lived there with his wife, Sarah, and their daughter, Lily. A place where every smiling face had a story, and every story had a shadow. Life was simple, predictable. The first thing you have to understand is the silence. The stillness wasn't empty. It was dense, like the atmosphere itself had turned to syrup. Then came a faint, metallic scent, like ozone and rust mingling in the damp. Every sound seemed muffled, swallowed by that thickening quiet. It started with the maps. Sarah worked at the local travel agency, its air thick with the scent of aged paper and stale coffee. One afternoon, her voice reached John tight with confusion, each word carrying an edge of something deeper. On her desk lay a shiny new Rand McNally Road atlas, its spine uncracked. Her finger traced a line that should have been there, tracing only empty space where a road was meant to be. Her voice, a haunted whisper, carried through the receiver. "John, it's not here." They assumed it was a printing error when Mercy Falls vanished from the new state atlas, leaving only the highway, the river, and the green expanse of the state park. But the county surveyor's office held no records of their land plots either, the musty scent of old paper hanging in the air like a forgotten secret. The road signs along Route 17 leading into town began to fade, their letters bleeding away like decades of weathering compressed into a single night. Then came the memories, unwelcome and out of place. Mike, John's neighbor and closest friend, asked him about the old Henderson place on Elm Street, a name that shouldn't exist in their town's history, spoken with casual certainty that made the air feel thick and sour. John drew a blank. 10 years on that street, and no memory of a vacant lot. But when his eyes focused, the lot materialized, a patch of darkness where homes should have stood. The air grew thick with the scent of damp earth and something metallic, like old coins. His breath hitched as a low, rhythmic scraping echoed from the void, a sound that shouldn't exist. The foundation lay exposed, choked by a century's worth of overgrowth, as if the house had simply been erased from time. John stood before it, and the memory wasn't merely lost. It felt surgically extracted, a metallic scent, like cold iron, hung in the damp air, and the only sound was the faint, sticky drip of water from unseen leaves. It wasn't forgetting, it was being made to forget. You'd grasp a memory of the town fair, only to feel it dissolve like fog in morning light. It would vanish, replaced by a hollow, unnerving certainty that the event had never occurred. Around you, townspeople moved with a subtle, unsettling lag, their motions just out of phase with reality. The air carried the faint, metallic scent of ozone, as if the world itself was glitching. They smiled, but their eyes were vacant. People began to simplify, their personalities flattened, conversations looping endlessly about mundane things. A heavy, sterile scent hung in the air as their homes became eerily uniform. It was the same faded paint, the same empty beds, a neighborhood losing its soul. If you tried to leave town, walking toward the trees, a sudden vertigo would seize you. You'd turn around, disoriented, and find yourself back on Main Street, with no memory of why you'd changed course. Our world was shrinking, trapped by an invisible boundary. That's why Sarah and I started a journal. We had to document the strangeness. Each evening, we'd meticulously record everything: names, events, the subtle changes we observed. But with dawn's first light, half those entries would simply vanish. They weren't crossed out or erased. The paper was just blank. The air would carry a faint, coppery tang each time it happened, as if the very memory was being consumed, as if our past was being edited in real time, a desperate recreation. John and Sarah huddled in a closet's stifling blackness, writing frantically. The ink on the page dissolved before their eyes. A cold, digital erasure. The final straw was Lily. Their 7-year-old daughter came down for breakfast one morning, her pigtails perfect, her smile wide. "Present day, John," she said. "Good morning, residents." Not mom and dad, residents. And she couldn't recall her grandmother's name. The word hung in the air like a cold, unfamiliar scent. Ozone, and something faintly metallic. Her gaze fixed on a family photograph, she whispered. Unidentified units. The night of 1971 was a tempest of chaos, with rain lashing the windows as John hurriedly loaded the station wagon. Every second was precious. The erasure was nearly total, leaving only this one desperate chance. The air smelled of ozone and damp earth, a heavy stillness broken only by the drumming rain and his own ragged cracks. The town wasn't on any map. No mail came in or out. The phone lines only produced static. They were becoming ghosts in their own home. He, Sarah, and the thing wearing Lily's face climbed into the car. Present-day John remembers the roads twisting into nightmares. Familiar streets simply dead-ending into sudden, impossible walls of time. The fog swallowed the headlight beams, reflecting them back as a solid, luminous white barrier. Lily kept pointing at the house, her voice flat and mechanical. Return to designated area. John drove toward where the highway should have been, guided only by panic and the fading memory of a map that no longer existed. The car's engine began to sputter and choke, the smell of hot oil and ozone filling the cabin. Then the radio screeched a single, looping tone, a high-pitched electronic wail that made the air feel thick and heavy. The headlights flickered, then died completely. For 3 long breaths, only the damp chill of the forest air filled the void. Then came the metallic groan of the driver's door opening into the blackness. The scent of wet earth and something faintly metallic, like old pennies, drifted in. John's breath crystallized in the frigid air. A spectral plume, a single, bare bulb swung, casting erratic light on a rusted, "Welcome to Mercy Falls" sign, its letters choked by creeping vines. The air smelled of damp earth and something else, metallic and faintly sour. I told Sarah to close her eyes, to not look back, to just run into the woods, straight ahead, no matter what she heard. I pulled Lily from the wreckage, her body impossibly light, like paper in my arms. Then I ran, branches whipping my face as a child's voice echoed from everywhere at once. It wasn't calling for help. It was repeating 2 chilling words. Designated area. The air grew thick with the smell of wet earth and something metallic, like old blood. John ran until his lungs seared, then collapsed onto the cold asphalt. As he pushed himself up, the metallic tang of ozone and wet pavement filled his nostrils. Before him, the sickly glow of truck stop signs pulsed through the drizzle like a fever dream. He was on the shoulder of Interstate 35, the hum of distant engines, the only sound in the oppressive dark. He was utterly alone. Sarah had vanished. Lily was nowhere to be found. In his trembling hand, he clutched a single, crumpled photograph. It was the only one that hadn't faded completely. A faint scent of ozone and damp paper clung to the air around it. The photograph was of his family, but where Lily's face should have been, there was only a smudge of light. Back in the present, John pushes the tape recorder away, his movements hollow and exhausted. A faint scent of ozone and old paper hangs in the air. His voice, when it finally comes, is a dry whisper. They declared me insane. The man's breath curdled into something darker when he cracked. No missing persons report was ever filed for Sarah or Lily. According to every official record, they never existed. Mercy Falls never existed. The truth he unearthed was an absence so profound it threatened to swallow him whole. The camera pushes slowly, intimately, into John's haunted eyes. His voice drops to a raw whisper, scraping against the quiet. Last week, an envelope arrived. No postmark, no return address. Inside, a single Polaroid. The image is still tacky, fresh. It's a picture of a street I know. The houses were perfect replicas, each with vacant, staring windows. A faint scent of ozone and damp earth clung to the still air. On one porch stood a woman with Sarah's face, her smile unnervingly wide. Beside her, a child's face was just a smeared, luminous blur. The Polaroid materializes on screen, its details unnervingly sharp. The figures within it are unmistakable, frozen in a moment of eerie stillness. Present-day John's voice is a ragged whisper, barely disturbing the thick air. "The town isn't gone," he rasps, the words carrying the scent of old dust and finality. "It's just finished, and it's seeking new residents." The air thickened with the scent of ozone and stale carpet. A distant, rhythmic scratching echoed through the pane. John stood paralyzed as the two worlds merged in the glass. In the darkness, present-day John's final whisper was barely more than a breath. The words, "It's looking for you," hung in the dead air, a venomous promise. Then, the video cut to black, leaving only a void of pure silence. The stillness shattered with a violent burst of static, a raw electronic scream that pierced the quiet before vanishing again.